In New York City today, the defense rested its case in former President Trump's hush money trial. These are crazy times. 4 years ago, Biden campaigned from his basement because of COVID. Now Trump might have to do the same because of house arrest. So, very interesting times we're living in.
Yeah, very kind of Filipino times we're living in. No offense to the people of the Philippines. I'm going to have that translated to Tagalog so they understand what I just said. They're not liberals. The left is here. The left looks to jail their political enemies. Joe Biden is more like Vladimir Putin, I think, than any president we've ever had. And Bong Marcos, too. Bong. You know, son of... Everybody knows that. His mom is Imelda Marcos. Yeah, no, but not everybody does know that.
I knew Imelda.
Yeah, everybody knows Imelda. She had a lot of shoes, as I understand it. Well, happy Wednesday, and welcome. Wednesday is, of course, well, many things happen. It is Mailbag Day here on the Chris Plante Show, starting off on a more positive note there. And, of course, in the Clinton household, it is Hump Day. That means Hillary has to be out of the house for a bill. She wakes up every Wednesday morning. It's kind of weird. Face down in a pool of her own dried vomit with an empty 1-gallon cardboard box of cheap New Zealand Chardonnay next to her. It's very sad, really, as she claws her way through life, bitter about what might have been. It's Hillary Clinton's life story. Very sad. There are tears running down my face. Going like this with my fingertips. Tears going down my face. Tears on my pillow. It is an amazing time to be alive, and that's reflected in our mailbag questions today, too, is, holy cow, what is going on here? And we have a lot of fun things today. I hope I can get to all the fun things. Got really nice stuff in the mail from people. Fun on the Chris Plante Facebook page yesterday, too, showing that our listeners, you, very positive people, very happy people, very normal people, and this exchange on the Facebook page, which it begins, you think, this is going to turn into some kind of a, internet thing that you hear about. And then it takes a turn for the weird. Takes a turn for the weird in internet terms. Because as you know, social media isn't. But turns out everybody's really nice, at least the listeners to my show, to my radio show. Very nice people, very normal people, very well-adjusted people. And it's very nice. So that was quite enjoyable. My best girl was reading it to me last night. And a nice person, a nice listener, sent me a really nice framed item that has to do with something I talk about from time to time. And I hope to get to that today, too. I hope to get to a lot of stuff, though. And the Democrats have given me, once again, way too much stuff for a mere 3 hours. But we will do what we can. Joe Biden, he is a sick boy. He is a demented boy. There is something wrong with that boy. I got to tell you, he should not only should he not be president, he should probably be institutionalized for his own good. He needs therapy. And I don't believe that anybody needs therapy, but I think maybe Joe Biden needs a lot of therapy because this boy is not well at all. He's quite unwell. And I've got some of that for you because Joe Biden, what does he want? He's talking about his wife's sisters, and does it sound like he wants to date them or he dates them or there's something weird going on in this family? It's pretty creepy, but I got to tell you, this morning I was watching the video and I was reading about it and grabbing a couple of stories on it, and then I went off to shower because I'm not a liberal. I shower every day before I go to work, and I'm very clean person. I shave, I shampoo, I scrub, I'm all fresh and clean every day. It's normal Western practice, but Democrats have kind of given up the ghost on that one too. But I can tell you, I was in the shower and I started doing the dueling banjos from Deliverance when I was in the shower. I didn't have an actual banjo, so I just had to do it by like, but I was like scrubbing up, and I'm and because I was thinking about the Biden family, they got some weird stuff going on there. I saw Joe Biden sitting on a little footbridge with his legs dangling over the side, kicking his feet back and forth, playing the banjo. Saw that in my mind. I have a very vivid imagination. But in any case, some of the things just scratching the surface on that. And also, we learned yesterday, by way of documents that were released, that the Federal Bureau of Investigation used to be such a respected organization, really tragic. The FBI documents showed that agents went into Mar-a-Lago, locked and loaded, ready to go, ready to shoot and kill. Shoot and kill who, you might ask, at Mar-a-Lago? Well, maybe a housekeeper, a groundskeeper, or maybe Secret Service agents. They could get in a gunfight with Secret Service agents. And this is the Biden administration. They're like communists and or a third world, swinging from trees kind of lefty lunatics. Amazing stuff. The headline is "Deadly Force," in quotation marks. Deadly force an option, colon. They love their colons even here. New docs, that'd be documents, not doctors. New docs show FBI agents were prepared for a Secret Service resistance at Mar-a-Lago and prepared to use deadly force. I want to hear from the Secret Service on this. The FBI is going to come in, raid the home of former President of the United States over a dispute with the National Archives, which wasn't really much of a dispute anyway. And the FBI came in. Were they fast roping down off of Black Hawk helicopters? And they got their pistoles. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember they're talking about, oh no, they were wearing polo shirts and hiding their weapons. I think I remember people out front with body armor and helmets and M4 rifles and looked like they were ninjas going in after bin Laden. But deadly force was an option in the Mar-a-Lago raid over documents and a dispute with the National Archives. You fascists, you filthy fascists. And it had to be signed off on by Merrick Garland, the Attorney General. He signed off on it. He put his signature on it. Amazing stuff. So they were prepared going in to shoot and kill other federal agents in order to, remember, they staged that photo. They spread stuff out on the ground and put the magazine rack next to it because there was Trump on the front page, the cover of a magazine. And they did it and then shot this staged photo, and then they released it to the various left-wing radical media organizations that promote rioting and looting and, Democrat activities. Those are just a couple of the Democrat Party's activities these days, that and grooming children from kindergarten on up into the ways of LGBTQ child predators, because that's part of the Democrat Party's thing. So that's something we learned since last week convened. I had made it down to Newsmax yesterday afternoon when my producer pals in New York on our Newsmax show, The Right Squad, 10 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. Somebody said, wait a minute, you see this? Deadly force was on the table at the Mar-a-Lago raid. Really? Well, what are they? You got Venezuelan gang members in there with tattoos all over their necks and faces that you guys waved into the country? No, it's just Trump's house. So they didn't shoot anybody, didn't shoot a housekeeper. It's like, could have had an Ashley Babbitt moment, could have just gunned down a 12-year Air Force veteran for the and killed her in the name. That was Lieutenant Byrd of the U.S. Capitol Police. It was a racist killing. The Democrats love that cop killing in that case because they're Democrats, remarkable stuff. Marjorie Taylor Greene claims, quote, the Biden DOJ and FBI were planning to assassinate Trump. What are Republicans going to do about it? I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. That's not even close to true. But that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. Sometimes fun, sometimes shut the beep up. Just saying. Thank you for your input when it's helpful and when it's not, the negative stereotype that the media will pounce on and use as a weapon against every reasonable and rational person in the country. Also, Trump prosecutor Fani Willis. Her name is Fanny. You mean this Fani stuff? Fani Willis and the trial judge, Scott McAfee, they both won their elections. There were primary elections in Georgia. And Fani Willis won in a landslide because it's not just the corrupt people like Fani Willis and, Judge Jose in New York. It's the voters. You have to corrupt the voters. You have to dumb them down. You have to confuse them. You have to terrorize them and terrify them. And And that's what the Democrat Party, that is to say the left, does with their media dominance. They terrorize and terrify the country, and then you get left-wing, radical, third world prosecutors like Fani Willis that believe that power is just something to be abused on behalf of the party, like in any third world country. And Fani Willis is a third world country. I know she's not as big as most countries, but she is a third world. I've been warning about this for years and years. The left is the third world. When the real left takes over your country becomes a third world country. And we're darn close. We're this close. I'm holding my right index finger a half an inch over my right thumb. That close to being a third world country. Iran, really, we're in a position where we can't really criticize a lot of what Iran is doing these days because we're doing the same thing. Because people that call themselves Democrats are here, but they're not Democrats at all. They're not liberals at all. They're really not Americans in any traditional sense, but never mind that. And I love this, the Associated Press fact check. I pulled this because they're lying in the headline and in the fact check. Judge in Trump's hush money, that's the non-disclosure agreement. I promise you the Associated Press has had women sign non-disclosure agreements in the past. I'd bet $1 on that right now. Judge in Trump's hush money trial did not bar campaign finance expert from testifying for defense. And no, didn't bar him. They just made sure that he couldn't say anything that would be of any value by restricting what he could talk about and dictating what he could talk about, and that it would be useless and pointless to the defense. So it's filthy corrupt, and the Associated Press's fake fact check is filthy corrupt too. Now, amazing stuff. And your left-wingers at Mediaite. The humiliating Republican Hajj to Trump's trial. The Hajj is Muslims going to Mecca to walk around the Kaaba. Supposed to do it once in your lifetime if you're a Muslim. And it's the Hajj. So there it is. The Democrats are the jihadis. They're genocidal, Jew-hating. Oh, speaking of which, you see Jerry Seinfeld had an event, and the Jew haters stood up and were shouting him down. And Jerry Seinfeld supporters got up and shouted down the Jew haters, the little Nazis. And then Jerry Seinfeld said, well, something like, what's another night without some Jew hate? Because it's become the norm in the United States of America, thanks to who, Michael? Thanks to who? The Democrat Party. That's who. Amazing stuff. And with all I mentioned, the terror that they love to spread, Dan Pfeiffer. Is he transgender, technically? Ex-Obama official warns, : they love their colons. A Trump win in 2024 will mean 5, and they put the word 5 in all capital letters, 5 Trump justices on Supreme Court. They're trying to get, Sonia Sotomayor to step down because she doesn't look very good. She looks a lot like Jake LaMotta at the end of his career, Raging Bull, not so good. And they think that 2 libs, it's unbelievable. President Trump got 3 picks on the Supreme Court, and that was because the Democrats corrupted the methods in the U.S. Senate of picking federal judges. Remember Harry Reid? So we don't need 60 votes for federal judges. And Mitch McConnell, the turtle, warned Harry Reid and the Democrats, you will regret this maybe sooner than you think. And then they regretted it much sooner than they thought. And it was great. And Donald Trump got 3 picks on the Supreme Court. They're great picks for the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court looks very good right now if you're pro-American and pro-Constitution and pro-rule of law. If you're a radical leftist and you believe looting is fundamental and burning police cars is wholesome, then you're a Democrat and you think the Supreme Court doesn't look very good. That's because you're a commie and maybe you're too dumb to know it. Pretty remarkable stuff. Commies are not good. They kill and steal and destroy, wreck everything. Look what they've done to Venezuela and Cuba and, North Korea versus South Korea. Putin is a commie, although the New York Times called him a conservative. That was funny. That's great stuff. The Biden campaign is hiring a meme page manager, a manager for a meme page. And you don't have to be an androgynous dwarf, but it helps. It does help, as it does with so many other jobs in the Biden administration. Amazing stuff. And, of course, the Biden administration on Raisi, the Iranian president, known as the Butcher of Tehran. The Butcher of Tehran died in a helicopter crash, and the Biden administration says, we don't want to see anyone die in a helicopter crash. Really? How about the head of ISIS? Oh, no, we care so much about human life and funding for Planned Parenthood, the two things they care. They love to kill the innocent and prop up and protect the guiltiest people on the planet because, and I got to tell you, Joe Biden talking about, is he talking about dating his wife's sisters? This is pretty creepy. I think I'm going to try to get to that in this hour. And our mailbag day today. I'm going to, hour two, I always say this, and then news breaks over our heads. Also, Israel pulling their ambassadors out of a number of countries because the number of countries, they're not doing the right thing. I've got that for you. And the Justice Department suing the state of Oklahoma. How come? What do they want to do, enforce the law or something? Yeah, something like that. And we're at 888-630-9625. Well, you know, the Democrat Party is the party of terror, of terrorism. They gifted the world the white knights of the Ku Klux Klan. Joe Biden used to pal around with Robert Byrd, the Democrat exalted Cyclops from West Virginia. Just to name one, and then, you know, there's Nathan Bedford Forrest and the whole Democrat Party. But they're the party of the SDS, the Students for Democrats, and the Weather Underground, and the Symbionese Liberation Army, and killing cops and robbing banks and armored cars and kidnapping heiresses. That's the Democrat Party. Make no mistake. And today, they had to shut down the Republican National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C., because a hazardous substance was found. And I know everybody's first question is, was Hunter Biden there? Did Hunter Biden was there? Was it just a packet of white powder? Because it might just be Hunter hanging out with his pals, you know, or Russian hookers or strippers or something like that. Baby mamas, all that. RNC headquarters sealed off in D.C. on lockdown after hazardous substance sent, listen to this, vials of blood found in a package. It's not a white powder. It's vials of blood were sent to the Republican National Committee headquarters in Washington. They went on lockdown. They called in hazmats and law enforcement, who the Democrats despise and hate and want to defund because they love criminals. They've gotten an all clear now.
How much for the little girl? The women. How much for the women?
What?
Your women. I want to buy your women, the little girl, your daughters. Sell them to me. Sell me your children.
You got a pretty mouth. Been a down. Now we go live to the Biden family's private residence upstairs at the White House for some creepy do. Joe Biden's got some weird stuff going on. Some weird ideas. They invite John Voight down to. Pretty crazy stuff. I got a crazy story for you here. Now, again, the RNC, Republican National Committee headquarters, Washington, D.C., on lockdown this morning because a Democrat shipped them a package with vials of blood, U.S. Capitol Police and more, hazmat, removed the Democrat contribution. You think maybe these are from a late-term abortion clinic, the vials of blood? Democrats. Were they in shot glasses? Because we know the ghouls, they like to. But never mind that. Let's get back to Joe Biden and Deliverance over here, dueling banjos, sitting on a footbridge, playing your banjo and your guitar and doing that dueling. Because Joe Biden, he said something yesterday that was pretty creepy. Got a little bit of attention. The so-called news media, the fake mainstream news media, they don't cover the news. They cover it up for Democrat Party hacks. But Some pretty amazing stuff. I want to play what he said yesterday. It turns out he said the same thing in 2020. So it's not, creepiness is not a brand new thing to him. You know, you remember the stories about Joe Biden showering with his daughter Ashley, and it was she was much too old or much too young or it was his daughter. There was really no appropriate age for an adult man to be showering with his daughter who's standing in the shower. You creep. And that was revealed in the diary that she left behind at a rehab clinic because she became a sex addict and a drug addict. And, you know, the family is not exactly the Romney family when it comes to these matters. Pretty remarkable stuff. But Joe Biden said some pretty creepy stuff. And let me share with you the story from Real Clear Politics. Biden, they really do love their colons. Marry into a family of 5 or more daughters. I did. One of them will always love you. Isn't there a song in there? I will always love you. Pretty creepy stuff. President Biden showed a bit of family wisdom during a campaign speech on Tuesday in New Hampshire of all places. And there are normal people in the crowd. Maybe, I guess not. There are Democrats that showed up for a Joe Biden speech. So how normal can you be? But here's what Joe Biden said. And if this isn't creepy, then I might have been transferred to another planet without my knowledge.
I say to every young man thinking of getting married, marry into a family with 5 or more daughters.
Yeah?
I did. My wife's the oldest of 5 sisters. You know why?
Why?
One of them will always love you. Not the same one. One of them will always be on your side. That's the biggest advantage of marrying into 5 daughters.
That's the biggest advantage. Mary, one of them will always love you. That's the hi. We'll always love my sister's wife when nobody's my wife's sister, whichever one it is. Your sister's wife. The Democrats also have sisters with wives too, but that's another thing for another show. Remarkable stuff. He said, like my deceased father-in-law, as we used to say in the Catholic Church, no purgatory for this guy. 5 daughters, straight to heaven, he says. And by the way, I say to every young man thinking about getting married, marry into a family of 5 or more daughters. I did. My wife's oldest of 5 sisters. Do you know why? One of them will always love you, not the same one. Not the same one. I honestly, there are the products that come to mind I really shouldn't even talk about. But it turns out Michael Piercy, notice, because he's got a functional memory, that in 2020, about 4 years ago, when he was running for president, Joe Biden told the same story back then.
I tell everybody you ought to marry into a family with 5 or more sisters.
Oh.
My wife has 4 sisters, you have 5.
Yeah.
You know why that's the reason?
Why?
One of them always loves you. Not the same one. One of them always loves you. You always have one ally. So that's why I recommend every man marry into a family of 5 or more sisters.
And the creepy people standing around, I guess they're laughing nervously, laughing uncomfortably. It sounded like it's kind of a creepy story, Joe. I don't really know what to do, so I'm going to laugh uncomfortably. But you got to keep in mind that in this family, this is not entirely out of the question. Here's a headline from the Business Insider from 2022. Hunter Biden's ex-wife, Kathleen Buell, describes his addiction and learning about his affair with his sister-in-law. I'm sorry, what? Now, everybody knows that Bo died. Joe doesn't know when. He doesn't know what year. He doesn't know from what. He thinks fire pits in Iraq. He was a lawyer in Iraq, something like that for a little while. In her new memoir back a couple of years ago, Kathleen Buell describes the moment when she learned her now ex-husband Hunter Biden's affair with their sister-in-law, Hallie Biden. So, but it does now. First of all, that's creepy enough. I grew up one of 6 brothers, and now one of 5 brothers. But we don't interdate. There's no interdating going on because that would be entirely wrong, and we wouldn't do that. But it gets creepier in the Biden family because, as I mentioned, Hunter Biden showering with his daughter, who was kind of, getting grown up at the time. And hey, honey, come shower with me because, that makes a lot of sense. And that's not creepy or anything. But when you're a Democrat, the news media just shrugs, the New York Times and CNN, and they say, well, what? That's no big deal. Why would that be a problem? Just showering with my hypersexualized Ashley Biden's diary, confessing a hypersexualized lifestyle. She became hypersexualized, and then she explained that her father used to drag her in the shower and shower with her because, hey, honey, he's always dropping the soap. He's got slippery fingers there. That's just ask Tara Reid. This guy is a creepy guy, and his family is creepy as a result. And poor Ashley, who left her diary, wink, wink, little passive-aggressive thing in the rehab clinic where it was found by someone. And then you remember the FBI had pre-dawn raids to go get the diary back, and they attacked James O'Keefe's home and James O'Keefe's offices of Project Veritas because he came in possession of the diary of Ashley Biden, which was full of information that made it clear that Joe Biden is creepy and sleazy. And then you get this creepy, sleazy thing. And when you get this creepy, sleazy thing, the latest, he's done it twice now that we know of. And, marry 5 because one of them will always love he. And if that's not creepy enough, Hunter Biden dating his brother's widow, and then it gets even better because Hunter Biden at the same time, he was married to Kathleen, his now ex-wife, poor woman, Kathleen Buell, and found out that, hey, your husband is dating your brother's widow, Hallie Biden. And then she learned that he was also dating Hallie Biden's sister at the same time. Does this family need group therapy or what? These people are just completely crazy and sleazy and creepy. If this were my family, I'd change my name and leave wherever it was I lived. This is a creepy bunch of people, I got to tell you. So there it is. And but we did get to play dueling banjos from Deliverance, which is kind of fun. And, dredge up You Got a Pretty Mouth, which I am telling you. That's it. They found his phone. Yeah. And the sister-in-law the sister-in-law who was the widow at that point, and then the sister of the sister-in-law, he was also, and when I say dating, that's of course a euphemism. That's leave the black light at home because you want nothing to do with any of this. That's your Democrat Party. Yes, sir. That's it. That's them. All right, now on a slightly lighter note, what's a lighter note than that? What could possibly be lighter than that? I don't know what could possibly be lighter than that. Let's go to Jerry Seinfeld because there's kind of a fun story. The comedian who is not a political comedian. I think he's a Democrat and he votes Democrat. But he does comedy. He's always done comedy, typically not political at all. And he's been taking a lot of, Jew hatred lately. He's a Jewish fella. And he has been chased out by a mob in New York City, an event that he was at. And he's been shouted down because he's pro-Israel. I'm pro-Israel. I'm a Zionist. I'm an Irish Catholic and a Basque Catholic Zionist. I believe that Israel has a right to exist, and I believe that's worth fighting for. It's freedom versus slavery. No big deal. Of course, that's what the fight is over in the United States, too. The left is here to enslave everyone. But here's the headline from the Los Angeles Times, used to be a newspaper of some repute. Jerry Seinfeld is interrupted on stage by pro-Palestinian protesters, again. And Ava Hartman typing on behalf of the Democrat Party in the Los Angeles Times. Jerry Seinfeld's week of difficult appearances continues, this time in Virginia. As soon as Seinfeld took the stage for a stand-up comedy set at Chrysler Hall in Norfolk, Virginia on Saturday night, a man in the audience jumped up and yelled, "Free Gaza!" And TMZ reported at the LA Times is just following in their wake. TMZ got the story. They actually break a lot of news, those guys at TMZ, showbiz stuff. The audience immediately began booing the heckler and chanting, "Jerry, Jerry," as another bystander wrestled the protester into a headlock, got him in a headlock. And then his neck was broken. It was an LAPD chokehold, as it turned out, and he died. It was very sad. His body was shipped to the Gaza, where he'll be thrown from a rooftop ceremonially. I just made up all that stuff. But somebody else in the crowd got him into a headlock. Security escorted the man out of the building, still in a headlock, I hope. But the show was interrupted by other protesters 8 times throughout the 90-minute run. This isn't the first time that the comedians in cars getting coffee host and creator of Seinfeld, I think is one of his claims to fame too, has been interrupted lately. His commencement speech at Duke University was subject to walkouts and chanting by pro-Palestinian students, and he handled that one cool as a cucumber too. The controversy around Seinfeld's views stems from his vocal support for Israel. He hasn't really been vocal. He was asked and he answered a question like a normal person. Remember Western civilization? I remember Western civilization. I liked Western civilization very much. I think we should do what we can to reanimate Western civilization. Speaking of which, Bill Maher was on television yesterday and compared Joe Biden to a cadaver. Speaking of reanimation, it's alive! It's alive! But Joe Biden really isn't. So his support for Israel and his wife gave a $5,000 donation to GoFundMe for a pro-Israel group at UCLA. How dare she? You're only supposed to fund Hamas. Oh, we got an update on that too, funding Hamas, some fun stuff on that. But here we got some audio from the crowd. Somebody in the crowd had a cell phone. And I don't know if you know, these cell phones have video cameras in them now. It's quite remarkable. So somebody got a piece of the Jerry Seinfeld event in Norfolk. This is why people can't have nice things. There's punching going on. There's a fight going on. It's video. And the first guy finds himself in a headlock because he fights like a girl. He's a very effeminate Jew hater. Listen now. And then Jerry Seinfeld, once things calmed down a little bit again, and he was interrupted again and again, and he was interrupted when he's at Duke University. These people are Jew haters. They're anti-Semites. They're modern day Nazis. They're fascists. They're jihadis. They're Hamas lovers and Israel haters. The hell is the matter with you? You demented, mentally ill people. I'm trying to be as polite as possible, and that's as polite as I can be, I think.
I like a little Jew hate to spice up the show.
I like a little Jew hate to spice up the show, Seinfeld says, and everybody laughs because he's a comedian. Remember comedy? And that's the Democrat Party, make no mistake, that's Joe Biden's Democrat Party. That's Hillary Clinton and Barack Hussein Obama's Democrat Party. The Jew hatred comes directly from this fascism comes directly from the Democrat Party. They're anti-civilization and pro-death cult. Don't forget to send a check to Planned Parenthood. They're harvesting organs even as we speak and sending vials of blood and shouting down the Jew. Throw the Jew down the well. Just amazing. Make no mistake, that's today's Democrat Party. If you're a Democrat, that's you. This is what you stand for. Me, I'm with Jerry Seinfeld. He's Jewish. He's a Democrat. He would self-describe as a liberal. Remember liberalism? They killed that too. It's on a spit in the backyard, rotating over a fire. They're not liberals, they're the left. Good for Jerry Seinfeld. I'm with him again. I like to say they have no sense of irony because they clearly have no sense of irony. But with the attacks on Israel on college campuses across America and from the river to the sea and wearing the Hamas headdresses everywhere, shouting down Jerry Seinfeld and this stuff. Now the Democrats are once again accusing Republicans of being Nazis, which they love to do as they goose step around with their armbands chanting death to Israel in Farsi, as they were doing in Chicago at the Teamsters headquarters. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Rick calling from the great state of Connecticut. Rick, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hi, Chris. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I love your show, my wife, and I think your radio show is fantastic. Now, getting away from that, we watched that bit last night where they showed this whole thing with obviously it appeared to be a pro-Trump ad, not created by the Trump people apparently, but very pro-Trump, very good. And then if you're very careful and you're watching this thing and you've already been told what to look for, you see that business about the Reich. I'm not buying this at all, that this was some pro-Trump people that put this together. Not at all. They actually had Biden do a bit online for this thing. And there's no way that came out. They woke him up. They shot him full of whatever they shoot him full of. Got him in front of a teleprompter and recorded this along with all these other people on the on NBC and CNN and all that. Everybody was lined up for this thing. So it just smells to high heaven.
You're absolutely right, Rick. And we will explain this. I'm glad you brought it up because it was a video produced by not the Trump people, not the Trump campaign, and posted online. And it looks like it's a pro-Trump video. And in the background behind the major elements, there's a newspaper article that's like wallpaper back there. And if you look closely at the print in the newspaper article, it looks like an old newspaper article, and some say it's a fake newspaper article. You see the words Unified Reich, like the Third Reich, which is the Democrat Party today, isn't it? And the rest I will have to explain coming up.